Hello. Greetings, my lord.
Aye? More gold is required.
Speak, fool. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. At last. This is more like it. No one orders me around. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers.
Famous coward. Your pain shall be legendary. You will know endless pain. Your pain shall be legendary. I'll make sure you suffer.
This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Now Frostmourne. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Tread lightly. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. For the Lich King. This is more like it. At last.
I'll make sure you suffer. Your pain shall be legendary.
Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it.
You will know endless pain.
Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Glory to the scourge.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
I'll make sure you suffer.
At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. At last.
Famous coward. I'll make sure you suffer. For the Lich King.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Now Frostmourne. At last. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it.
end this torment.
At last. Finally. Speak, fool.
Welcome to our village.
Wait till you see me in action.
I am ready.
You're interrupting my calculations.
No one orders me around.
More gold is required.
What is it now? At last.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Frostborn hunger. This is more at last. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last. Faithless coward. Now, Frostborn hungers.
First blood.
I'll make sure you suffer. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Your pain shall be there.
This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. At last.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last.
Faithless coward.
This is more like it. Frostborn hunger.
I'll make sure you suffer.
This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally.
Your pain shall be
At last. This is more like it. Finally.
Our brethren's town
No
is under
one
attack.
orders me around. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last.
There's no time to rest.
I'll have it up in no time.
What ails you?
How may I serve?
Is someone injured?
I am ready.
Aye? Wait till you see me in action.
What is your wish?
What is it now?
Our brethren's town is under
No
attack.
one orders me around.
Are you threatening me? Aye?
Show me the path.
I am ready.
Speak, fool.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
My life for Nazul.
More gold is required.
No one orders me.
Glory to the scourge.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last.
Town is under attack.
This is more like it. Ah, at last. For the Lich King.
Your pains are legendary.
Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. For the Lich King. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Thy bidding, master.
What is your wish?
What ails you?
2 + 3 times... What do you
I am
want?
ready.
No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Our brethren's town
Glory
is
to
under
the
attack.
Scourge. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Our
Finally.
brethren's town is under attack.
Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last.
Your pains are legendary.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Town is under
Now,
attack.
Frostmourne. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. At last.
Your pain shall be legendary.
Now, Frostmourne. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Glory to the Scourge.
This is not at last. Finally.
I'll make sure you suffer.
At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. This is
Our town is under attack.
at last. Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is what Frostborn hungers.
Your pain shall be legendary. Our brethren's
At
town
last.
is under attack.
This is what
Fate is coward.
finally.
Double kill! Triple kill!
This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it.
I'll make sure you suffer.
Frostborn hungers.
You will be endless.
At last. For the Lich King. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Our forces Fate is coward. You will be endless.
This is more like it. At last. This is more like it.
Glory to the Scourge.
Dominating!
Finally.
Fate is coward. Glory to the Scourge.
At last. Frostborn. At last. Frostborn hunger. At last.
I'll make sure you suffer.
Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn.
Unstoppable!
Finally. This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last. Frostborn.
Wicked sick.
Glory to the Scourge.
This is more like it.
Now.
At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. This is more
Our
like
brethren's
it.
town is under attack.
At last. Finally.
Dominating.
Frostborn hungers.
Ownage.
Finally. At last.
I bow to your will.
What is it now? This is more like
Our
it.
brethren's town is under
Is my
attack.
aid required?
No, 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 not like that.
What is your wish?
Let me do it.
No one orders me around. Finally.
I'll have it up in no time.
Yes, my friend. How may I serve?
Our brethren's town is under attack.
My life for Ner'zhul.
Speak, fool.
Where shall my blood be spilled?
Tread lightly.
My life for Ner'zhul.
I am ready.
Speak, fool.
I?
Mega
Our
kill.
brethren's town is under attack.
Unstoppable. Double kill.
No one orders me around. This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Faithless coward. Enemies
For the Lich King. This is more like it. Finally. At last. For the Lich King. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last. Finally.
Your pain shall be legendary.
Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
I'll make sure of myself.
This is more like it.
Glory to the Scourge.
Monster kill.
At last. Finally. For the Lich King. This is more like
Godlike double kill.
Frostborn hungers.
Wicked sick.
Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. Now, Frostborn.
Faithless coward.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
You will know endless for me.
Now, Frostborn. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
At last. This is more like it. At last.
I'll let you suffer. Glory to the scourge.
This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Your pain shall be legendary.
Double kill.
Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it.
I'll let you suffer.
At last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
I'll let you suffer. You will know endlessly. Glory to the scourge.
This is more like
Monster kill. Holy shit.
At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it.
For the Lich King.
Frostborn hungers. At last.
Glory to the scourge.
This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally.
2 + 3 times star. What do you
What
want?
ails you?
What is your wish? I am ready.
Speak, fool. Is someone
You're interrupting
injured?
my calculations.
Is my aid required?
What is it now? At last.
Are you threatening me?
Where shall my blood be spilled?
Our brethren's town is under attack.
No one orders
What
me
ails
around.
you? Yes, my friend.
me something to do.
Speak, fool. Is my
2
aid
+ 3 times
required?
star. What do you
No
want?
one orders
Our
me
brethren's
around.
town is under
Are you
attack.
threatening me?
Guide me.
How may I
Is
serve?
someone injured? Speak, fool.
This is more like it. Finally.
I am ready. How may I serve?
What?
Our
Tread
brethren's
lightly.
town is under attack.
This is more like it. No one orders me around. At last.
You will answer.
Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Glory to the scourge.
At last. This is more like it.
Speak, fool.
At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Ah, at last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers.
Killing spree.
Ah, at last.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Your pain shall be legendary. Glory to the scourge.
Now. This is more like it. Finally.
Dominate.
At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Wait till you see me in action.
What is your wish?
Is my aid required?
Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Glory to the scourge.
For the Lich King.
You will know endless torment.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it.
Faithless coward.
Frostmourne hungers.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
At last.
Glory to the scourge.
Frostmourne hungers.
Your pain shall be legendary.
At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Faithless coward.
This is more like it.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Ah, at last. Now.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Unstoppable.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Glory to the scourge.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last.
Your endless
Wicked sin.
glory to the scourge.
This is more like it. Now, Frostmourne. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Monster kill.
Frostmourne hungers.
Holy shit. Ownage.
Frostmourne hungers.
How may I serve? I am ready.
What?
Speak, fool. Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers.
I wish only to serve. Yes, my friend.
I'll have it up in no time.
I bow to your will.
Holy shit.
Are you threatening me? What ails you?
How may I
No,
serve?
no, not like that. Let me do it.
I am ready.
No one orders me around. Finally. At
Our
last.
Reverend's town is under attack.
Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. This is more like it.
Holy shit.
My double
kill.
Speak, fool. Ah, at last.
Triple kill.
Finally. Ah, at last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. For the Lich King. Ah, at last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers.
You will know endless torment. I'll make sure you suffer.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last.
Our forces are under attack. You will know endless.
Triple kill. Holy shit. Ultra kill.
Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. For the Lich King.
You will know endless torment.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Double kill.
Your pain shall live. I'll make sure you suffer. Faithless coward.
At last. Frostmourne.
Double kill.
At last.
Your pain shall be legendary.
Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last.